Good evening, everybody. Yes. So tell me, have you ever wondered what makes some leaders great? What could be their secret sauce? Now, these are some aspects that this book, The Greatness Guide, actually talks about. So why did I pick this book? Simply because it helps you to become a better version of yourself. It's an easy read. You can just flip the book, come to any page, and you can just absorb the point and let it sink in you. And of course, I love the thoughts of Robin Sharma, who loves to simplify things. So the Greatness Guide talks about 101 ways that you can reach your next level. It has crisp points, and they are fairly easy to follow, provided you put your mind to it. Now, I'm going to summarize the book, but I'm not going to be taking you across all the 101 points because that's going to take forever. But what I'm going to do is, I'm going to share with you the top 25 points that really stood out, especially from a leadership perspective. And these points will help you become a better leader. So what I'm going to share is going to be a mix. It's going to be some of these powerful statements that he has made. Some I'm going to give it to you in the form of questions, thought-provoking questions. And I'm also going to spice it up from some real-life examples from my experience. So let's get started. The first, did you know there will never be a better you than you? Because he says, no better time than today to be the best you. I'm reminded of the Kabir's Doha that says, Kal kare so aaj kare so ab, right? So do it now because you are a great version of yourself. The second thing, leadership is about a way of being. So he says, hold yourself to world-class standards. Take personal responsibilities. Build beautiful relationships and elevate others. The third thing he says, every person you meet knows at least one thing more than you do. So don't leave them without learning it. And I just had this experience last week. I met up with a client of mine who visited Chennai. He runs a speaker bureau. It was a casual conversation that we had to meet over coffee. And as we spoke, he told me something beautiful. He gave me ideas on how I can facilitate my workshops. I conduct workshops being a leadership coach, and he gave me some nice ideas which I can use it in facilitating my workshops. So that's why every person you meet, see what you can learn from them. The fourth thing is, tomorrow is incredible. He says, not everyone gets it. And I thought this is so profound. Because just last month, very unexpectedly, I lost a friend of mine, a CA classmate of mine. And it was so shocking that he's no more. So we are blessed that we are getting another day. So make your tomorrow really incredible. The fifth, what you think about and focus on grows. So instead of complaining, can we count our blessings and see how beautifully we can lead our lives? The next, leadership occurs during moments of challenge. And I want to share a real-life example here with you. I was coaching one of the head of finance of a large corporate. Brilliant person, technically very sound. So the corporate was considering investment in a particular venture. Everybody wanted to go for it. But this person, based on his knowledge and experience, was not in favor of approving this investment. However, he did not have the courage to speak up and put his foot down and say no to it. And this was what he brought up in our coaching conversation. And we navigated our way through. And in the subsequent meeting, he spoke up with courage and in a very calm manner. And he said that though it looked really shiny, he said the risk was really high. And therefore, he did not want to approve of it. It took him a lot of courage to do that. But months later, when the market tanked in the segment, his no, putting his foot down very firmly, actually saved millions of dollars for the company, and now he's been promoted as a CFO. So that is why how you stand up during the times of challenge is what leadership is all about. The seventh thing, the importance of asking powerful questions. Let me again share an example of a leader that I was coaching, who was a very, very difficult client for me. Because he had a set beliefs, he had the set way of operations, and he wouldn't budge from any of those. However, one question really changed it for him. And what was that? I asked him, what would you like people to say about you after you have left this organization? And that really provoked a lot of thoughts in him. He reflected, he dived deep into it, and then he realized he needed to change his behavior and attitude towards people. Can I be a lot more kinder to my people and show more empathy to them, right? So this was something that brought about by just asking one powerful question. The eighth, what would it take for you to become a cool brand that would make others go, wow, about you? So this reminds me of what I've written in my book, Where's the Moolah, which talks about financial growth hacking for business profitability, where I have shared the 3W formula. What is that? The first is woo your customers. Woo your customers with irresistible offers. The second W is to wow your customers. Wow your customers by giving them great experience. And the third W is to win your customers by winning them over for a long-term period so that you don't have to go hunting for more clients. The ninth, you become what you think about. So what are you all thinking about right now? Think through that. The 10th, do you know what separates the best from the rest? It's habits. So what are the habits that you're following? And do you have the discipline to follow on to these habits? 11th, he says there are tons of choices, starting with our words. Choose them really well because that's how leaders do. So can you use tact and diplomacy in what you're saying? Especially even if you have to carry or convey a not so pleasant message. Is there a way you can be polite, nice, and say it in a kinder manner? Can you share feedback in a positive manner? Think about it. The 12th is he invites the reader to think. What's one thing I could do today that if I did it, both my personal and professional life would get to the next level of greatness? Isn't that good food for thought? The 13th is, he says, invite people into your professional and personal lives. Ensure they are people who inspire you. They are people who can uplift you and help you to become a better version of yourself. So, I'd like to ask you, who are the kind of people you're surrounded with? Think through that. The 14th, the quality of your life comes down to the quality of your relationships. So he talks about the first principles for great relationships. What are they? He says, be the first to say hello. Second, smile a lot. Third, he says, use people's name because people love hearing their own names. Fourth, when you're speaking, look into the eyes of the other person. Fifth, become a world-class listener. Sixth, he says, offer sincere compliments. When you appreciate people, how do you feel? How do you feel when you get appreciated, right? The same goes around. And lastly, he says, treat everyone royally. The 15th aspect is, leadership is about believing in others as well as believing in yourself, especially when no one else does. Next, do you know what's the best practice? The best practice is practice. He says, how else can you get better if you don't practice? So practice your art and craft so that you can become the best in what you do. The next, he says, no great life was ever built on the foundation of excuses. So stop making excuses. Here again, I'd like to share another example. I was once coaching a managing director, and he had a very difficult time with one of his immediate subordinates who was giving him excuses for every little thing. Even if this person was told by the managing director to move a bottle, something as simple as move it from your right to left, this person was to give him a lot of excuses instead of just doing the job, something as simple as that. And he was getting really frustrated about it. And we were deep diving and, looking at ways and means to manage such people. And ultimately, I met him, about maybe 6 months ago. And then he told me that I could not really manage this person anymore. And I had no choice but to fire this person. So stop giving excuses. This did not happen because this person didn't do the work, or, it's because this person came late. I did not receive my reports on time. Stop making excuses and instead focus on how you can make things work. The 18th, he says leadership has much to do with relationships. He says find out ways to connect with people you work with, ways to connect with your loved ones you live with, and even strangers. See how you can build the rapport and strike a connection. The 19th is we always have a choice. And we can always choose between what's right and what's wrong. So think through that, apply your ethics, your integrity, and take the right and the best decision. The 20th, the best leaders communicate their vision, they coach and develop their people and empower their teams. And that's why they are free to use their own creativity and get the results that's needed. So food for thought for you. How are you empowering your people? 21st, an interesting one, he says is, listening shows respect. Now, I want to share a funny incident out here. I was once addressing the leadership team of a corporate, and I was telling them the importance of leadership through listening. Listening is a great trait for leaders, and how great leaders are great listeners. Now they heard me out. The managing director was also, part of the audience. And once I spoke about listening, he tells me, and then he looks at his team and he says, that's why I tell you all have to listen to me and, obey my words and do whatever I tell you. Now, listening is not really obeying. Listening is more about paying attention to what people have to say, right? And what they actually mean, because by just listening, you're giving space for people to come up with their ideas, talk their mind out, and that's a great source for innovative ideas. So are you great listeners? In fact, many clients ask me, how can I become a better listener? And this is what I have to share. Pay attention to what they're saying. Ask open-ended questions. Understand and clarify what they're really meaning. Be non-judgmental, because once you bring in the judgments, people are not going to open up and it does not create the psychological safety. 5th, if to reflect their feelings. Now imagine if somebody is telling you, they had a bad day or a bad challenge or something they're really low about. You're not going to be showing your enthusiasm at that point in time. You empathize with them. You being there with them for them, and that's how you reflect their feelings. And lastly, paraphrase and summarize what they're saying. And these 6 things at a high level will help you become better listeners. The 22nd is a lovely point. He says the main competition is not for the share of wallet. What is it? It's for the share of your customers' hearts. Because once you're able to win your customers' hearts, the share of wallet would automatically follow. The one thing that separates leaders from its followers are those who can lead and speak openly, honestly, and with courage. The last 2 are really brilliant. The last but one is, the fruit never falls far from the tree. And your children will become a lot more like you than you may even believe. It says, remember, what are you teaching your children? You're teaching them, and you're leading by example, showing the kind of lives we lead and the examples that we are setting. How proud are you about your children? Are your children your priority? Because he says, remember, leadership begins at home. The last one. What body of work will you create over your life so that the generations that follow will know that you have been here? So he's talking about the legacy. He says greatness comes when you create something with your life that's not only bigger than you, but it outlasts you. So what is the kind of greatness that you wish to create? So my friends, to conclude, I would recommend not to read this book at one go, right? But do it in bits and pieces. Rejoice the essence bit by bit so that, those points can actually sink into your head. These are like really short points. So just probably 1 point a day or, as and when you get time, allow yourself to absorb the essence of it and see how you can implement it in your lives. So see what resonates the most with you and what are the changes you would like to bring about in your life so that you can become a greater version of yourself. Could there have been something better in the book? Now what I think is, while it has many good things, it may sometimes come across as a bit preachy or like a sermon. And also, probably all the 100 ways may or may not resonate with you, but some of them are like really outstanding, like I mentioned. So see what you would like to pick and implement in your life. So pick up this book if you want to become a better version of yourself and be a greater version of yourself. So that is the gist of the book that I wanted to share. Now let's move on to our lovely panelists and see what they have to share about the book. Yes, Ravi. So, good evening. What are your thoughts about this book when you read it? What did you feel and what are your key takeaways?
Yeah, first of all, good evening to you all. This is not a book, I feel. This is a sort of a Bible for the management, actually. Because I read a lot of books. This is not a ready reckoner. Right. You read this book and again you keep it. This is not a book. If you are considering this is that type of book, this is not the book. This book is actually, if you read, you digest and again go to the book again. Yes. You keep, it is like you have a diabetic, you measure and again you keep measuring whether your diabetic is under control. Same thing, you got to do this. You practice this and make sure again you go to the book and read something, and this book talks about his wisdom, his experience. This is a lovely factor, and whatever all 101 chapters, he experienced that and he has given the prescription.
Awesome. That's really nice. To you, Ayushi, what are your thoughts on the book? Was there something that you really liked and something that you disliked? What do you think?
Okay, first of all, thank you so much, Sangeeta, and to the MMA Association for inviting me today here. Personally, when I saw that the Guide to Greatness, the title of the book, it initially sounded a little superficial to me. Because I thought that how can somebody sum up the 101 ways of greatness to people. But genuinely I was fascinated when I started reading it. I mean, the author is living life to the fullest. I mean, he's living the best life and exhibiting that, the Gen Z term, the main character energy. He's actually exhibiting that, and for example, he's like stopping and pausing to live everything, breathe in the spring, and noticing people at grocery stores and coffee shops, and just looking for inspiration everywhere. So that was truly remarkable, and it made me pause and think that whether I am living my life to the fullest and paying attention all around me, because inspiration, like Sangeeta mentioned, it's all around you. I mean, you do go through the journey of life, but it cannot just be in a very singular approach. So Yeah, I mean, see, my perception of excellence and the greatness, I think it's still getting shaped up. I mean, the experiences that we have seen the panel carry, I am only a fraction of it. So there's a long road for me to go. And there's a long road, but I think, when you see a movie of SRK or Meryl Streep, you have heard how great they are. So we all know how Robin Sharma is in general through the best-selling books that he writes. But once you actually experience it, you get to see and read and look at the world through his eyes. So that was really fascinating to me. I loved every bit of it. So yeah.
That's nice. I mean, thanks for highlighting this aspect of like how he's observed every little thing, That's so important because in this present day and age, we get so distracted with the mobile and, social media and everything. And I think despite that, he's managed to look around and observe people, observe things. And I think that really speaks a lot. So thanks for highlighting that. Ravi, to you. Now, the author has spoken about 101 ways of greatness. So out of this, which is your favorite, or which are your favorites and why?
First thing is that listen. The listening is what very important. Today, as you said, a lot of noisy world, you don't listen. Many times we don't even hear. There is a difference between hearing and listening. So you hear and you forget, but you got to listen because listening provokes others' interest. They get into a lot of open-ended questions. And you are giving respect when you are listening. That's the reason God has given you 2 years. So we are always try to close others' question. We try to end up the others' question. But we got to listen first. So that is very clearly crafted.
They say like listen to understand.
Exactly,
yes,
listen to understand. Yeah. So that's very important. I like that one of the thing. Another one is lust for growth. He has written about lust for growth. So I always find there is no growth both in the professional and personal life, there is no story. Yeah, so that's very important. So you got to keep growing, otherwise there is nothing. So even I did my XLRA at the age of 52. So I need to grow, because if you are not learning, you are outdated. You got to have updated.
Continuous learning.
Exactly, that's very, very important. So you got to keep growing. For that growing, you need to have that lust, not only love. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. Lovely 2 points. Aishi, similar question to you. What are your favorite picks from the book?
So there were so many beautifully articulated points, so it's very difficult to choose, but I'll still attempt to summarize. So there was one line that greatness comes from mastery around fundamentals. So I'll just go back to my childhood. So when I was little, I always focused on being better or better scoring than my older brother or the people around me, because of the constant and consistent comparison of my parents, because all of the parents want each and every child of theirs to succeed and excel, right? And he's doing wonderful, by the way. And so the reason for doing that was I wanted to just get done with all my studies, get done with all my homework, get done with all the good grades, and just live freely and watch as much television as I could, right? And so that perspective actually did not really change as I progressed through my studies and then my career also. So as you can imagine, it started taking a toll on my mental health and physical health as well, because you get really disillusioned with what you're actually working for, right? So there was a lot of pressure, a lot of darkness, there was no zest for life left in me. But then fortunately, I met really nice people along the way, who pointed out that it's all about the simple things in life, habits, thoughts, habits that feed your mind, habits that keep you fit, and the thoughts of progression and gratitude are so very important. And like the Satkar said, the listening skill, listening to people around you, listening to yourself as well at times, to pause and reflect what you are actually saying to yourself. Are you really listening to your body? Are you really listening to your mind? Are you really listening to yourself when others are not able to?
Listening to your inner voice.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, yeah, lovely.
And the one thing that is very beautifully articulated in the book as well is more on the lines of how everyone can be a leader. Right? It does not have to be in the capacity of a CEO of a big organization. You can be the CEO of your own area, right? Whatever you are accountable for, whatever you are responsible for. if you treat it as your organization, your own little organization, then I think in our company we call it as entrepreneurial mindset, because everything is your enterprise that you run. So if you approach it like that, I think excellence, is in mastering the small, basic little things, just showing up every day, just doing your bit. So yeah, that was that was something that stood out for me, and I'm taking that.
Awesome, awesome. That's some lovely points that you shared. Thanks for that. To you, Ravi. Now, the author talks about taking charge fast, right? So, in your vast career, have you seen this? Have you experienced this? And what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, first of all, my school days, I'm a fast bowler. So,
Nice.
yeah, when I always consider the direction is a wallet, and fast should be our speed should be our currency. So, without currency, the wallet is empty wallet. Nobody.
True.
It's just yeah.
Good analogy, yeah.
Exactly. So even I joined this company 6 months back, I was not waiting somebody to give instruction. Yeah, I found there is a first 90 days, but I went for a first 30 days. So I found out where there are gaps and try to do some gap analysis and immediately trying to plug the gaps. I know that I may be slightly fast. In fact, when I was there in Europe last week, my CEO said, "Thoda shant." Just calm down, okay. We are not Americans, okay. So we are European-based company. So the fast is essential today. We have fast food outside, all that, but still we need to act fast. We should not reply. We should respond. That's very important for me. I think this book has very clearly articulated about do it now. I always say, because I am from sales background, now I got an acronym. Number only works. Yeah. So in sales, it's now, do it now. And in American company, we call it as an annual operating plan. We have budget. So I always say in Hindi, that could be a broken Hindi. Please pardon me for that. Abhi order pakado. That's a very, very important one. So we got to be on the toes.
I really love the acronym for now, and I can use it in my finance stuff as well. Number only works because finance is all about numbers, right? Yes. Thanks, Ravi, for sharing that. That's a really interesting one, and even your AOP is a good one.
Abhi order pakado.
Abhi order pakdo. Yes. Very nice. Okay. To you, Ayushi, the book talks about gratitude. It says, I call it as GGG, get great at gratitude, right? So have you practiced gratitude in your life, and if so, what has been the impact by practicing gratitude?
So I think gratitude is the best and the most powerful attitude there is. Life throws a lot of curveballs at all of us, and we don't know what hand will be dealt with to us. It's just that whatever cards we have to play our best hand. So, SRK and Farhan, both of them in their respective movies, Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara Kabho Na Ho, they sang beautifully that थोड़ी छाँव है सबका हिस्सा, थोड़ी धूप है सबका हिस्सा, छाँव है कभी है धूप जिंदगी, right? So everyone has their share of sunshine and gloomy days. In my life as well, they were there, mostly physiologically and a lot of that consequently mentally as well. And I'm not going to get deeper into that. I just like to say that it's not easy to be positive. It's not easy to practice gratitude. Like, you read everywhere, you see. It's just that when you are actually at the rock bottom, I think it's difficult at times. But for me, what has really worked and what author also has very relevantly pointed out is acceptance. Acceptance, I feel, is the thread that ties gratitude together, because once you accept the reality, once you accept your life, once you accept the curveballs, once you accept all the everything that life has to offer, if you look at it as at a lens, with the lens of negativity, with the lens of why is it happening to me, it initially feels like that, and all of us can concur that it feels like that. But gradually, acceptance, I feel, has been really instrumental in me while I was practicing gratitude, because I stopped comparing my progress to others. I accepted that a lot of them were a result of some of the, at times, it's a little of our choices as well. I mean, you start taking accountability, you start taking a bit of responsibility of what's going on in your life, and that's when, the actioning sort of beams through. like a ray of sunshine, that you have a realization all of a sudden that, oh my God, okay, that's been me all along, or it has been my attitude all along. So gratitude and acceptance both really helps in removing that brain fog and actually moving forward to your path to greatness. It feels like superficial to say it so, that to the path of greatness, but yeah, I mean, to the path of excellence and being the best version of yourself. I mean, it's very important to pause, to reflect, and if something is bothering you, I mean, this has worked with me. If something is bothering you, something has really bogged you down, then you can just let it down, just cry over it, just feel as much as you can, even if you're feeling the negative or the resentment part of it. But then again, never go back to that mode again. Never let it make you cry again, or never let it make you feel bogged down again. So that, then again, it helps you to sort of chalk out the solution or the path forward towards it. So it is still an ongoing journey for me. Life will still be challenging, and it's a long way for me. So, but gratitude has been really, really helpful in me being able to say this to you today. So yeah.
Nice. Thanks for that. And I like the aspect that you brought about the acceptance factor as well, because I think that awareness and acceptance really helps to keep going. So yeah, thanks for that. Ravi, to you. So as a senior corporate leader, there's this one line that in the book that says, the only way to truly get power is to give it away. Now, especially in the corporate world, because of insecurity, fear, and different things, people don't like to give away the power across different levels. So from your experience and your thoughts, and after reading the book, what would you like to share with us?
Yeah, for one thing is that in Tamil we call it as empower. I consider this as a empower. We got to move from empower to empower. So in any meetings, I have a quarterly review, monthly review. I have something called R&R, rewards and recognition. So I always say that if you are having insecure, if in Durg is a one which is called Durga.
Right.
Durg is more of a my chair. I have been surrounded by completely safe. Right. You leave this Durga, you have Saraswati with you, the knowledge, then you will definitely give empower. Wow. You got to give empower to others. So one is to have authenticity in your team. As you are telling in one of the pointers, that when you leave the room, what they are talking about you. That's more important than your presence, what they are talking. That is the truth. That is coming from 30,000 feet down. It is coming from the beam, what you are talking. What is your team feeling about this? Right. So you got to empower. As Jack Welch was telling, who's a CEO of, he says that till you become a leader, you talk about yourself. The moment you become a leader, don't create followers, create more leaders. So that can come not from command and control. It comes only with